for the next segment, let me do a timestamp here. We're going to be talking about, we got to read an early copy of Image's new book on the Energon Universe, Destro #1. Before we get into it, Kyle, can you briefly tell everyone who is Destro? Because, boy, man, we haven't seen a lot about this dude.
Destro is basically, I mean, in some ways, he sees himself as Cobra Command's equal, but yet Cobra Commander's second in command. He's also the guy. He basically, his family has been like an arms dealership for the longest time throughout the centuries. And the reason, apparently, if I remember correctly, somewhere in his lineage, they did disgrace, so they had to wear the mask. That's why you see him in the silver helmet.
Okay.
But cool. He's in charge of Mars Enterprises, which are basically the people who basically create all of the mech and tech for Cobra. So all the HISS tanks,
like those robots,
bubbles. Yeah. He's the one who basically does it, so he he's also technically the love interest for the Baroness, which is going to be interesting since she's now a part of G.I. Joe.
Yeah. All right. Jeff decided to not quit and come back. Cool.
Yeah, if anybody's ever seen the live action, he was played by Eccleston.
Christopher Eccleston.
Oh, cool.
Doctor Who.
Destro is a huge dude. I mean, we're talking about a guy who could, who towers over guys and can just beat the shit out of somebody. But he's played by Christopher Eccleston, who was like this, smaller. And you saw in the thing where basically his face gets burned, Cobra Commander injects him with nanites, and his face goes all silver. So it's like, you guys just did this one wrong.
That is one of the worst movies ever made.
They really missed the mark. Okay.
The G.I. Joe movies are just incredibly terrible
so bad.
and so dumb. And like the plot of the first one is they make a bomb, but then have to kidnap a guy who knows how to actually make it work. What?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I watched the better movie. It was called The Dark Knight. They did it better. As Dark Knight Rises, I mean. Okay. This book, let's talk about the creatives before we get into this book. This book is written by Dan Waters, who's also doing Creature of the Black Lagoon Lives. He's also done a bunch of other stuff, both at DC and Marvel. So, with art by ANDREI BRESSAN, Adriano Lucas on colors, letters by Rose Wooden, because apparently Rose Wooden just letters the entire Energon universe.
Yeah.
In this book, we see James McCullen, Destro, that's a lot of Roman numerals. Hold on. I was not ready for this. The 24th? Yeah. XXIV 24th. James McCullen, Destro, the 24th. Holy shit, that's a lot of Destros. He's the man behind Mars Industries, like Kyle just told us, and the undisputed leader providing high-tech weapon to the world powers for the right price. But with the emergence of the Energon now has changed everything. As Destro's ambitions grow, the Crimson Twins, Tomax and Xamot, fucking shit, what a name. Oh, man. They emerge to destroy their competition, and Cobra Commander realizes his current ally could be his future greatest enemy.
Do you guys know what if you look at their names, Tomot and Xamot?
Yeah, they're backwards.
Yeah. But they're also identical twins that basically if you hit one, the other one feels the pain.
That seems
that was a great times during the cartoon. Now, I need Danny. You never saw any of the
No. I had Kyle explain who Destro was a little bit before we started. But all right, I'm gonna start with you, Jeff. What did you think of the book?
I enjoyed it. I like the fact. So I've never read any of the Marvel Comics G.I. Joe stuff. I feel like that's where most of the lore is built because Hama like kind of built all these characters from scratch. Larry Hama built them all from scratch for Hasbro. I'm just mostly familiar with the cartoon stuff from the 80s. And the cartoon doesn't do a great job of it's just good guys versus bad guys. So Cobra is all one thing. Well, but I realized later in life that it's more of a conglomeration of all these just interested parties.
The cartoon did one thing. You find out that basically Lady J and Destro are technically related by their family.
Oh, really? I did not know that. I think I vaguely remember. The cartoon is amazing, I think. There's some crazy-ass cartoons in that episode. But I think the comic does a really good job of being no, these are all just interested parties that are all just kind of interested in their own world domination. And at some point, because we all know where it ends up, they're all going to be threaded together. So right now, Destro and the twins are enemies, but at some point, Cobra Commander, they're all going to end up working under Cobra Commander, who's already been established as this psycho. So like,
yes,
it's for me, it's super entertaining. It is a little slow moving if you're not,
yeah.
I don't know if I needed the whole revolutionary thing at the beginning, take over the country, but like, it is fun to see where where the threads are going to end up.
I do appreciate that aspect of it, because I was waiting for one of these books to get a little bit more like geopolitical. There's a lot of, I want to see what's going on around the world, and I think Destro is a good book for that. So I love this whole sequence of like the revolutionaries coming in, and then you got these the battle droid troopers, whatever, from Cobra, or from Destro, and then whatever. Like in this world, like the big corporations, like they can just pay companies like Mars to win their wars, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that like this general or whatever is very nonchalantly just kind of like, there's a coup happening outside of his fortress, and he's just very nonchalantly doing that, which I think I really like that. And then as we go into the net, like this shot here, like the droids falling in, like really, really good. I like that stuff a lot. So I enjoy the comic as well. I think it has a little bit, it's definitely a slower pace than what I'm used to in some of the other Energon books, because those are all like kind of go. But I like the characterization of Destro, because you are right. All these characters could seem very flat and very samey, but I think Cobra Commander was established really well. I think Destro is completely different. Like, they don't see eye to eye. They are very wary of each other, their interactions. Like, so I like that a lot. So
they have a very Megatron Starscream kind of relationship where like they both think each other's the idiot. Like,
very much so. So
I also like that we see so that Cobra Commander is building his own army, and that the bats come from Destro, and then you find out that the Red Guard come from the Tomax and Zemo people. So it's interesting to see, like, as toys, they're all, like I said, they all just kind of run together. But it's interesting to see where they all have their different components.
Okay,
and the same is happening in Scarlet as well.
Yeah.
So,
Clay, thoughts on this?
I'm not as big of a fan as you guys are of this. This was one of the weaker Energon books for me. But if you're a Destro fan, this may be the one that you like gravitate to more.
Yeah.
But on my level of G.I. Joe knowledge, like Cobra Commander was my favorite villain book so far. This one was just kind of okay. It started strong. It was interesting to see how Destro would manipulate like an uprising like this to be able to take control of an army of people and overthrow a government, but it was kind of slow, and just like there was in all the previous Energon books, there always was like a moment it felt like it was above the cartoon, or it was taking it to another level. And in this one, I didn't feel like it had that moment. You know what I'm saying?
I think that moment for me is when Destro goes to visit like his ancestral, like where he goes to the tomb of all the, and you see all the other like family members with the mask.
I
don't think you wouldn't put that kind of stuff in a cartoon for children because they wouldn't care. But to me, I was like you can see there's conflict within him. There's like he needs, even I don't know that he's gonna get guidance there, but it's like maybe that's what he does to kind of regroup. I don't know. That's kind of what it felt like to me, but I can see what you're saying for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't want to discredit it because there may be someone who's a fan of just this character, and this book's going to be better for them. But for me, it just didn't hit.
Okay. Well, this is another miniseries, and I think very smartly that they're doing it like that on miniseries. Like, let's introduce everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about the world in each of these books, and then we'll finally. I'm sure they'll eventually launch like an actual G.I. Joe or a Cobra or both, like twin books kind of running together. So
sort of like phase 1 of the MCU, where you're just getting like this and this and this.
This is very good world building, and Destro looks cool. Like, I really, man, they knew how to sell those toys back in the day, and they just look cool. I like that they don't change the designs much. I think they update them a little bit, but to me, from what I've seen, and like I usually Google like these guys whenever, like how much did you change them, and not a lot. It doesn't seem like a lot.
I do like seeing the vehicles in the background, you know, and so it's like that's like a $12 million thing, and you're like thinking of this toy that you had as a kid.
Yeah.
So okay, cool. Well, if you guys haven't started reading the Black Lagoon, Creature of the Black Lagoon Lives, you should. It's great. Another Dan Waters book. So, all right. Any last thoughts on Destro before we move on? Cool. Well, you can read this on Wednesday coming up. You can also check out Cobra Commanders Collected. Duke is collected. The new Scarlet series just kicked off. And then, of course, Transformers ever ongoing. So, really
have they
cool.
announced any other titles?
I don't think so.
Not that I know
I
of.
feel like they're gearing up for. They have to be gearing up for their first crossover event. Just knowing comics, I know that's going to be coming soon. So,
Would y'all want to see this in a live action film or an animated film if they did an Energon?
Well,
I think
they technically are already doing it live action.
yeah, they should do. If they're going to do animation and they want to do it in this, like update some of this stuff, that'd be cool.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, with Rise of the Beast, we get introduced to G.I. Joe at the end of the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I saw a picture. I don't know, maybe it was just some fan made stuff that it was like some Transformers G.I. Joe announcement.
They're supposed to be working on a film right now. I think like it's in
Yeah.
production.
Yeah, if you haven't seen Rise of the Beast, I recommend it. I like that movie. So,
Beat out everything else they did.
It's my favorite Transformer movie.
They keep punking my boy Bumblebee in every turn.
No, sorry.
Yeah. Okay.